So good evening, everyone. So this is Atalaya Mining PLC, a European copper producer with operations in Spain. I will go through the following presentation, which will take around 15 minutes, and I will leave the remaining 10 minutes for to answer any questions that you might have. So it will show you, I'm not going very quickly through the required legal and technical disclosure, and I would recommend you to read it carefully once you receive the documents. So, I'm Cesar Sanchez, the CFO of Atalaya Mining PLC. I have a strong finance background in the mining, where I've been working for more than 10 years in the business. So my background includes IPOs, equity and debt funding, and project management. I joined Atalaya in 2016, so I will make shortly 7 years in the company. Unfortunately, we don't have Alberto today with us. Alberto is the CEO of the company, and he has a massive experience in mining, some of which this experience will be. I will take the opportunity to take you through in the presentation. So you will see this is a very summarized snapshot of Atalaya. So we are currently an AIM listed company in London with a market capitalization of over 560 million US dollar and a net cap position above 56 million. Our operation or projects which are located in Spain, a safe and friendly mining jurisdiction. These projects include the Rio Tinto district, where we really have our main operation. The district includes not only the existing open pit being mined, but also a significant potential of growth in deposit around the existing processing plant. We also have Project Toro. This is a brownfield copper mine in the northwest of Spain, which is currently in the permitting process. And we also have Ossa Morena in the Ossa Morena exploration belt. This is located again in Spain, in Extremadura, and I'm very close to the Agua Blanca processing plant, which is the project is currently in an exploration phase. In terms of reserve and resources of copper contained and copper equivalent contained, you can see that we have several million tons of copper equivalent in resources, which basically will take us a long life of mine. What is our operating performance? So I'm very proud to say that we are what I believe extraordinarily good operators. You can see, the tons of ore processed in the plant since we started the operation back in 2016. We chose two different expansions of the plant. So in 2016, we restarted the plant once we got the permit in 2014. We expanded the plant in 2017 for the first time, and you can see the increase in the tons processed and the copper production. And then we subsequently expand the capacity of the plant in 2020 to get to the existing 15 million tons of ore processed during a year to produce around 52,000 tons of copper metal, which is our existing guidance for 2024. In the following page, we said Spain, which is a safe operation, a safe jurisdiction. We also say AIM, but what else do we have there? So what are the players that are really fully exposed to the copper price? So if you look at the London market, and you believe in copper, this slide shows you how many players you have in London if you want to invest in a pure copper player. So the reality is that we don't have that many. So fully exposed, you obviously have a big company like BHP or Rio or Glencore, which together with copper, they also have all the commodities. But if you want to get fully exposed to the copper market, because if you think that the copper market might increase, the copper price might increase in the future, as we do think, then you only have companies like Anto, the second, and ourselves. So we are trying to, we saw that lack of companies, and we're trying to attract and capitalize this lack of opportunity for moving from AIM to the London Stock Exchange. So this intention was announced in the mid-November 2023, and we tried to complete the process before the year end, but unfortunately we had to postpone until we have the 2023 financial statements audited and approved, which will be sometime in around mid-March 2024, so just a few months ahead of us. So the steps to move up to the main market are very clear, and so we need to get the approval from the FCA, we need to get the prospectus, we need to get all the work completed, but we have not found so far any fundamental issue. So it's expected that as soon as we get the financial statement approved, we'll complete the process and we'll be in the main market. And please note that for that move up, we're not raising any new equity, so we're not raising any cash in the process. It just replaced the existing listing in AIM to the main market. So what about the corporate market? I don't know how much you know on the corporate market, what are your views on the copper price. But at Atalaya, we certainly have a strong view on the copper market due to different reasons. So on the top left hand side, you can see how the demand is expected to grow in the coming years. So moving from 16 to around 32 million market, so 32 million tons market, we're expecting to increase in the next few years to around 39 million. And the main driver for that increase will be probably the energy transition, but not the only one. But this increase in demand really, what does it really means in terms of the offer? Now you can also see on the right hand side, on the top right hand side, a chart or a graphic where you can see the Codelco copper production outlook. Codelco is, for you that you don't know, is the largest copper producer worldwide. And if we're expecting an increase, and their copper production is around 1.5 million tons of copper metal per annum. So if we're expecting to increase our copper consumption by 7 million in the next 7 years, that actually means that we need to generate, or the miners need to produce 5 times the equivalent of the largest copper producer in the world. I think that's difficult. And if you see a little bit more in detail the graph, you can see that the actual current production or current operations are coming down from 1.5 to significantly below 1 million tons of copper. And this is a 33 decrease. And to maintain this level of production, the company need to construct and ramp up all the system project, which basically means that to produce exactly the same level, not increase exactly the same level of copper, that actually means that you have no execution risk for the system project. But is that a decision that you can take? Well, you can see how regulatory implications on new supply are coming. So not only about environmental, social, tax regimes, and it just takes a lot of time to get a mining license. As you can see, as an example, it takes about 16 years. I mean, obviously it depends on the jurisdictions and it depends on many other factors, but at least you can take that a minimum of 9 to 10 years is required to open a mine from a greenfield to an operation. And what about cost? So you have 3 examples about the new supplies and what that means in terms of cost. Because I don't think that new mining project are only a mining project itself. You also have some infrastructure that you need to build on. just in order to put that mine into operation. So you can see Quebrada Blanca too. That's a brownfield, and that requires a new port, desalination plant, water pipeline, and that at a total cost of 9 billion, and that imply a capex intensity of about $30,000 per additional of copper ton. The same with Quellaveco, water pipeline, river elevations, overland conveyors. So that's 5.5 billion investment. And as a last example, you have Cobre Panama, which require a new port, dedicated coal power, that's 6.7 million. And we were before I was saying about execution risk. Well, you probably know what happened in Cobre Panama, but the Panamanian government recently retired the license, the mining license, as I thought that it was not constitutional. And if I speak about our journey, who are we, right? So who are behind Atalaya Mining? So we are a very strong, experienced mining team, which has a broad experience in permitting, financing, and construction of major projects. You have 4 examples there of projects that, so directly led by Alberto, our CEO, has been executed by the existing team that we have in Atalaya. So you have the Agua Blanca nickel and copper project in Spain. You have the gold and copper project in Asturias, that El Vallès Boinas. You also have the Mutanda copper and cobalt project in DRC, and the Tasiat gold project in Mauritania. And this team, what we did in Project Rio Tinto, which is basically our operating or flagship operation. So what we found when we arrived back in 2014, we basically found, this is in slide number, what we found in the when we arrived in 2014 was basically a plant which stopped its production back in 2001, and with no care and maintenance investment at all. And what we did with the restart of the plant in 2015 is just taking care about this old investment and basically put it in, nice and cleaned and put it back into production. So this is what we did in 2015. There you can see the crusher back in 2018. So we also invest in a new crusher. So that's not how the crusher, the giratory crusher, is now currently seen. But in the next slide, you can see the original mills back in 2014. So you can see on the left-hand side the old mills, and then you can see on the right-hand side the new mills today. The same with the page number 15, the following page, where you can see the original flotation circuit back in 2014. They were small, or very good equipment, but old-fashioned, a little bit old, and we just put the new flotation circuit that is as of today, and this is what you can see on the picture on the right-hand side. You can see an overview of the plant, and basically this is just for you to understand that this is a extremely modern installation which processes 15 million tons of ore to produce around 52,000 tons of copper. And what that means in terms of investment, you can see the capex intensity that we have historically since we got to the company. So back in 2015, we executed the restart of the plant by investing around 82 million US. That imply a capex intensity of around $3,300 US per ton of copper. We expanded in 2016, completed by 2017, and with an incremental capex of 68 million US dollar, which again aggregate capex intensity of around 4,000 tons for new ton of copper. And then finally, in 2019, we have an incremental capex of 92 million, which again, the aggregate capex intensity is 4,600 US dollar per ton of copper, which is much lower than we saw in the other project when we spoke about the copper market. In terms of debt, well, we certainly didn't raise much money through equity, so we started the operation with a massive negative working capital debt, which over the time we basically flip over a positive cash balance, which is what we currently have at around 50 million, 56 million US at the end of Q4. So this is all dividend history. So what that means in terms of how much money we invest in the company. So you can see two main equity raise that we did back in 2015 and 2017. So both together basically got to roughly 96 million sterlings. And if you see just the dividend payments that we did since we approved in 2021 the inaugural and the dividend policy, we paid back to shareholders around 55 million sterlings. And in addition to that, you need to take into consideration, well, we in addition, we have all the investment in the plant, we have potential growth, and we need to invest in that, in explorations. We have repaid all the historical debts that we found in the company when we arrived. We have built a solar plant. We'll see some picture about the solar plant next. And we have other capital projects. And yet we still have 50 million as a net cash positions, which I think that show our approach to optimize the shareholder investment. And our asset portfolio. So we have, as I say, in Spain, so if you go to slide number 20, so you can see here, this is the Rio Tinto district, where you can see the plant just in between San Dionisio, San Antonio, and Cerro Colorado. That's where the existing plant is. And then you have other in blue, you have other assets. Sorry, in yellow, you have other assets that we own, such as Masa Valverde or Rio Tinto East. So they are all close enough so we can use the existing plant as a processing hub for this deposit. If you go to the next slide, you will see the existing operation as if now. So on the back end, so you can see the Cerro Colorado. This is the open pit that we currently have, and we have already started to the pushback for San Dionisio, which is the pit that you can see at the front of the picture. And then on the left-hand side, you can see the processing plant. We recently released PEA, just for you to understand the financial impact of that San Dionisio when we incorporate that in the processing plant. And the results are shown in the next slide, where you can see the increase in the production profile once we have both the copper ore and the polymetallic ore. So there is a significant increase, not in 2024, which is the existing year, but in the coming years, starting mainly between 2027. In terms of NPV, if you use an average, if you use a copper price of 350 and then you use a discount rate of around 10%, you can see the NPV that shows the model is around 115 million. And I believe, we certainly believe this is using very conservative assumptions, as we will see better price for sure. I mean, we're now currently in 373, and we probably can see that the NPV will quickly escalate to a large number. You can see then the next slide, the work that we started already in San Dionisio. So this is we started back in 2023, and we're expecting to get to the ore as soon as we have the full permit to go with the new ore. So you can see the solar plant where we invest. So we invest close to 40 million, and this is coming into life this month in February. It's started to come back. As soon as we finalize all the extrusion. And then the next slide is the other project that we have in our pipeline, which is in the northwest. That's Project Totoro. This is currently in the permitting process. We have a very good news from, we're expecting very good news from the Xunta de Galicia soon, anytime soon, in the coming month. And hopefully, as soon as we get the permit to build the mine, build the processing plant in Toro, will increase it, certainly increase the production of the company. So this is in the next slide where you can see an illustrative production potential, which basically shows the 52 existing copper production that we have in Cerro Colorado quickly increased to 59 once we have the Rio Tinto de San Dionisio into life, coming into from 2027 to copper equivalent of around 91,000 tons of copper equivalent. And if we get, in addition to that total, which I was saying, we expect to get some good news from the Junta de Galicia in the coming month, that will add 30,000 tons of copper metal. So you can see the investment highlights. So we, in summary, as an existing operating mine in a safe jurisdiction, we have a steady production since we started the plant. We currently have production level of about 50,000 tons and a significant life of mine for the future. A sustainability approach, copper is required for the energy transition, so we are very proud to be part of that equation with our best practice and a strong relationship with the community and the solar plant, capital investment, a solar plant. Another project which I'll describe in our annual report. We have a strong pipeline for growth. I think we've been very quickly through our project, but I think we are in a very good position to increase the copper production of the company only by organic growth, and I think that will generate a lot of value, as we were seeing in the NPV values from the latest PEA. We also have a strong mining team, so we are builders. We have a massive experience in operating mine from the beginning to the operation. So this is something that we have done, as we have shown in that full project where the team has been working on, but also in Proyecto Rio Tinto. And I think the last one is I think we are a very cheap investment opportunity. I think this is a safe operation, well run, with a strong balance sheet and with positive dividend policies, which continue to be traded at a discount compared to its peers. So I don't know how I'm doing with the time, but hopefully I can get some. We have some time from some questions from you.
Okay, Cesar, thank you very much indeed, and thank you for bearing with us on the presentation there. We are a little bit over time, but we've got time for a couple of quickies. So first up, what are the total indicated and measured resources you have as a business? Do you have all that data?
Yeah, it's in the presentation. So if you have the total, so it's in 4 million. Yeah, so this is in the current snapshot where you can see that. So we currently have 1 million tons of copper reserve contained and 4.2 million of copper equivalent resources.
Okay, next up, a question about the move to the main market. Assuming that happens, what is your hope? What are your expectations or hopes that will do for the business?
I think that, well, the feedback that we get from many funds is some of them, they don't like to invest in AIM for whatever reasons. We also have in our shareholder register many investors from continental Europe, which might find the London Stock Exchange a better vehicle rather than AIM. I honestly believe the feedback that we have from the investor community is a game changer in terms of adding some liquidity and adding some extra volumes to the company. And this is what we think. I think that it will expose the company to a broader investor community, and as a result of that, it will increase in volumes and liquidity at the end of the day, which I think is going to be very positive for the company.
I think that feeds to the next question I had here about being a well-known or not so well-known business. The question is commenting that for a company your size and your market cap, and they weren't really very familiar with the story. Is this part of a concerted effort to kind of reach investors? Do you feel like you maybe not quite so well known as you should be?
Well, we're certainly very well known in the investor community. So all the mining funds knows us. We have a good number of funds in our equity register. So I think we should
I
be.
think they're asking as an individual investor, as a retail investor
Oh, right.
rather than as a fund.
Okay, okay, yes. So retail, yes, I think we can do a little bit more as you can, and we're doing some effort to basically increase our presence in the social media and doing these sort of presentations where I think that the investor community should know more a little bit about Atalaya. I think we can do a little bit more, and that's what we plan to do in these coming years.
And the next question here is about acquisition. Do you think that you might be a takeover target, or do you think you're more likely to acquire other businesses?
Well, we can be both. We can be both. So, I mean, certainly this is one of the threats. I mean, if you compare to our peers and you compare, I mean, looking at worldwide, looking at doing an investment, we produce 52,000 tons of copper. If you do how much you need to do in other assets, either brownfield or greenfield, how much you need to invest to produce 50,000 tons of copper, it's certainly much more than our market capitalization. So that always put you in a risk to basically be a target of a bigger company which might found a good company operated healthy with a healthy balance sheet, and I think this is always a threat, and this is the environment where we need to deal with. In terms of us acquiring other assets, yes, for sure. I mean, we just described the opportunity that we have for organic growth, but on the top of that, obviously, we are always looking for the opportunities in the market. And we've been looking for that since 2016, and we won't stop it. It's just been difficult. I mean, there are not that many opportunities in the market. The opportunities in the market that we saw, we always, we participated in pretty much all we could or would like. And but unfortunately, we're not being awarded with one of those. So I think we just need to wait and continue looking at it.
Okay, so thank you. We are there on time, or slightly over time. But thank you very much indeed for the presentation. Thank you for joining us this evening. And we hope to see you again soon. But I think it's really quite a really interesting proposition you've got there. And so thank you.
Thank you, Roland. Thank you, everyone.